Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to another Stogie 411 show. As you can see, I'm here with my pole dancing friend, Mr. Michael Williams. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. I am doing great. We're looking forward to having another informative, fun show here today. And as you can tell, we have none other than Jose Blanco again back with us per your request. Everybody requested it from Hoye de Nicaragua. How are you, Jose? Jose?
It's always great to see Mike, and it's good to see to be on the program. I've seen a lot of Twitter and Facebook. I guess the guys are lined up to ask a lot of questions. So, let's get the ball rolling and let's get it going, guys.
There we go. And as most of you may see on the live feed, it may look like Jose's not moving. We have a little lag. We're not sure where the lag is. We think it's Skype, but you still will be able to hear him. There may be some pauses in between, but that's just because we're giving Jose time for his feed to catch up. So, Jose, we got a question was sent in to us from email from Jeff. He couldn't be here today because he's on the East Coast. So let me ask you his first question here. He says, having first coming into cigars when the Corona was the norm, and he says, yes, he's an old fart. I have to say that he's tired of seeing so many new lines coming out with nothing smaller than a 52, 54 ring gauge. Will you be seeing more lines with traditional small ring gauges?
I just heard part of the question. I didn't hear the whole question, Mike.
Well, Jeff wants to know. He said he sees that a lot of companies are coming out with bigger ring gauges cigars, and when he first started, Corona was the prime size. He's saying, do you think that you'll see more lines coming out with traditional small ring gauges?
To be honest, everybody knows that I am a big fan of small ring gauges, Lanceros, Corona Gorda, Petit Corona, Robusto. I'll go up to 52, but that's on a personal level. What has happened is in the last 3 or 4 years, and even you have to remember when Ernie came out, when he was still at La Gloria with those big range cigars, they were the only people that were making it. Then in the last 3 or 4 years, you're seeing 54, 56, 6x60 is one of the most popular ones. Now you even have 70 by 70. That's that. To me, I think it's people think that they're getting more flavor, more strength. Also a combination that I've asked a lot of retailers about this. I think people, when they see, let's say, a Robusto for $7 and they see for $8 a 6x60, they're looking at value too. All those things have to be taken into consideration. But if you look at the guys that smoke, that are what we call cigar geeks, passionate, you will see them smoking more a smaller ring gauge than the big ring gauges, because in the small ring gauge you're going to appreciate more the type of wrapper that you're looking for, and that's why you have seen that on the CYB line we came out with the Corona, it's a Corona Gorda, and we came out with the Longsdale, plus the Robusto, the Toro, and the Belicoso. But the ones that sell the most are Corona Real, the Longsdale, and the Robusto, even though Toro is very close. But it's going to come down to preference, what people really like. And I think that right now, for the last 2 or 3 years, the trend has been big ring gauges. We're even seeing 70. But who knows that, starting next year, middle of the year, end of next year, 2014, the trend will be where people will smoke smaller ring gauges.
Right. And I'll say along with that, with what Jose said, I even find myself, there's certain cigars that I think taste better, in a smaller ring gauge. And there's other ones that I actually prefer in like a Toro size. Toro's like my go-to size here of late. I like some of the bigger ring gauges just because, like I've smoked 7x70s, I've reviewed them, but it gives me, when I'm here at the house all the time, I can smoke that cigar for 3 hours or more sometimes, and it just gives me that length of time of enjoying a cigar, even though the flavor might not be that as as good as something in a smaller gauge. It's the, you know, it extends the time period for me to smoke also.
Yeah, I'm smoking the CYB Toro right now, but I just reviewed I bought a box of the Corona Real, and I personally am not a smaller ring gauge cigar smoker, but I think the flavors in that Corona Real are amazing on that size. I really dig that size in that cigar for me.
No, it's amazing, and you know, it's like I tell people, you know, misconceptions that people have. People think the bigger the ring gauge, the more flavor and the more strength, and it's not true. The smaller the ring gauge, the more strength. But at the end of the day, I tell people, look, forget what's my personal preference or the majority of the cigar manufacturers. And I would say that 60, 70% of the time you're going to see them smoking a smaller ring gauge. It's their personal preference. It's like I tell people, it doesn't matter if you smoke a big ring gauge or a small ring gauge. You have to smoke where you feel at your best and you're satisfied. Also, something I always tell people, always keep in mind, taste is very subjective. You have a tolerance scale that goes from 1 to 10.
Yep.
I could go to the factory 7 o'clock in the morning, smoke a dark or rojo, be at ease. There's people that after a 22-ounce steak and a big Idaho potato, you give them a mild cigar and they go, oh. It's very strong. No, the cigar is not strong. Your tolerance scale is very low.
You know, I agree with you. I just want to give a quick shout out. Thanks to everybody who's joining us in the chat room. And remember, if you have any questions for Jose, which we're expecting a whole bunch from you guys, please ask them. We'll try to get to everybody's question. So,
here's one. Here's one right away. Cigar G wants to know, Jose, do you plan on releasing the CYB that was available at the Big Smoke in Las Vegas? He can't remember the ring gauge.
Yeah, that was a 6x48. It was something that we made specially for the people at Cigar Aficionado and the seminar. You know, it's 550 people. They come from all over the world. I bump into people there from England, from Germany, from Japan. I mean, these people are cigar geeks, and we always, when we are present, we try to make something unique. We will be coming out next year with some line extension of CYB. I can't talk about it now because we're still working on the different sizes, but with that and some other stuff that we're coming out next year, we're very happy, very excited at the company, and it has been perceived very well. It's selling very well. It has a following, and you know, people just want to see, you know, different things.
Well, speaking of CYB, Jose, why don't we know recently that you changed the name from the original name to CYB. Can you go into that a little bit?
Well, there was let's say somebody that had the name, and you know that Dr. Cuenca and me personally were very respected of it. I think our industry has enough problems, enough issues, smoking bans, taxes, S-chip that's coming up again, and all these ridiculous things that people come up with. So, you know, it's like Rodney Dangerfield, I think, said in the movie, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. So let's not get into those things. I think we have to be more united. We have a lot of issues we have to address. So we're not going to spend our time, you know, arguing this. We have the right to this, the right to that, you know.
Right.
It's like we've said, we've changed the name, but the blend is the same.
There you go. You just answered Foozer's question, which was asked to me the other day because I reviewed it on Twitter, and thank God I did get my information right. It's the same blend, just a different name. That's all. Well, let's see. Let's take another question from Jeff, Jose. He wants to know, now that you're under the Drew Estate umbrella, is there going to be how about a collaboration with Willie?
You know, I've known Willie for many, many years. When he was working on his project, it was many, many blends that he gave me to taste to get my opinion. No, you never know what could happen. It could be a collaboration. Who knows? Maybe Jonathan and I do something, or who knows, me and Nicholas. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. You know, I'm passionate about cigars, but I think right now, in the case of Willie, I think Willie has to, you know, get out there, work out with his blend still, you know. A lot of people know him, but you know, he still has a long way to go. He's very young, and so it could be anything. Who knows?
Now, I have a question on that one also.
And he made a great cigar. I love it a lot.
With the Hoyo de Nicaragua line, do you foresee any time in the future maybe of coming up with something like infused, like with the acid line?
No, we're going to leave that to our friends, to Jonathan Saka, Nicholas Salucci, and those guys. Because I got to tell you, they dominate that. That's what they're good at. They have created so much, let's say, excitement. I mean, how many kids, you ask them, what was your first smoke? And they tell you, well, I started with a Cuba Cuba, I started with a Blondie. And then you see them smoking an Underground or a Dark Orojo or a CYB or an Antaño or a Liga. So, a lot of people don't realize it, especially store owners and people that sometimes are, just like to criticize for the hell of criticizing. People cannot imagine the amount of people who are now premium cigar smokers that started off with products from Drew Estate. There's a lot of gratitude that we have to give, Jonathan and all the crew there. They have brought a lot of excitement into the industry.
And if I'm correct, I don't know if I am or not. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, Jose, but acid is still the #1 selling cigar around, isn't it?
I think it is. I had dinner with Saka. What was it? Today, yeah, Thursday night. We had a great conversation. Finally got to try the Velvet Rat. I stole 2 away from him, and they're pumping out. I think it's 95,000 cigars a day.
Wow.
That's plus what we do for them with the Muad. I don't know, close to. We're going to be like 23, 24 million cigars this year, and they're always in backwater. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the sky is the limit for them and what they're doing. The collaboration between, Drew Estate and the Hoyo de Nicaragua has been good. I mean, you go to a Drew Estate, Hoyo de Nicaragua event, I don't think anybody can do an event the way, the way we do it, the excitement, the craziness, but also the quality of products and everything that goes on there, and the different personalities of the different salespeople. I mean, without a doubt, and I've been in sales all my life, there is not a energetic and knowledgeable and passionate Salesforce team out there like Drew Estate, with all due respect to all the other companies.
Wow. Impressive. Well, let's see. B. Delaney's got a question for you, Jose, in the chat room. He wants to know, are there any new regions where tobacco is not as widely used that you would like to experiment with?
Well, to be honest, everybody knows I love Dominican. I've been a fan of Nicaragua all the time. Tobaccos from Brazil, depending what type. Big fan of tobacco from Ecuador, Sumatra, Ecuador, Habano, Ecuador, Corojo 2006, Habana Vuelta Arriba. I'm a big fan of Mata Fina. I like Mata Norte tobacco, even though from Brazil you can't get it that much. I like some of the Mexican tobaccos. Broadleaf, we're trying a friend 2 or 3 years ago grew a tobacco in Ecuador. It's a seed. I'm experimenting with it. I've always been a fan of Cameroon, but Cameroon has gotten to a price so expensive. You're talking about grade A Cameroon that's between $60, $70 a pound.
Wow.
And with Cameroon, you don't know how the crops is going to be. It's a very difficult situation in Cameroon. I give a lot of credit to the Marifel family for the great job they've done for so many years, putting in the infrastructure, water, clinics, electricity, security. I mean, people can't imagine how dangerous it is to grow tobacco in Cameroon. And to me, Cameroon is one of the best wrappers in the world. I love tobaccos from Peru. We're seeing different types of seed growing in different countries, but you have to understand one thing. When you take on a project, the first thing you have to have is availability. And then you have to have the contact with a company that is going to be able to continue to supply. Because what people think is, well, oh, it's 2012. We're going to buy tobacco for 2012. No, we're starting to use right now tobacco from 2008. So that's been tobacco that's been there 4 years. So when I work on a project personally, I want to see two or 3 years of inventory there that I could work on. Now, if we're going to do something limited, I don't care. I'll take 10 bales of something, make 30, 40,000 cigars, and that's it. But when you want to make a consistent product, you have to have 3 to 4 years of inventory there for
Yeah, I've heard that a lot in the industry, and that's where a lot of the problems come into play. If you have a cigar that's a big hit and it's selling out everywhere and you can't get enough tobacco to keep supplying the demand, all of a sudden the demand falls off because they just can't get the cigar anymore.
And I'll tell you one thing, and I've said it a million times in interviews and on programs, and I give it even to advice to manufacturers and people that are starting off. If you think you're going to come out with a line and you're going to get all of a sudden a high rating, and 4 or 5 months after that, you ran out of supply or the guy doesn't have the materials to make it. If you think you're going to get away with it, it's insane. People today know more about cigars. They have learned. They pick up the different characteristics. They can pick up if they were smoking a cigar and it was good to them and they find some youngness or some change in the blend, they'll say it, they'll tweet it, they'll post it on Facebook. So the name of the game is consistency, consistency, consistency. I posted the other day, people ask me all the time many questions. Sure, you need good rollers, you need good tobacco, you need to have happy people making cigars. But if you're not consistent, you're just gonna, just drop the ball. And we've seen that without mentioning names of highly rated cigars, did great last year. All of a sudden, they're struggling on the shelves. And you ask people what it is, and they tell you, it's not the same cigar. It's not the same cigar. It's not the same cigar. Yeah. So those days are over.
No, you're right. And cigar smokers today really do know it. I mean, if you find something that you really enjoy, if something's been tweaked on it or if it's not the same tobacco or, you definitely could tell the difference.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing, and this is even average smokers that tell me, well, I pick something up like some bitterness, and then I pick up an aftertaste, and they ask you, do you think that could be the tobacco wasn't fermented enough? Do you think it's a little bit young? Do you think they're, just, cutting corners? I don't get into that because even if I knew the answer, out of respect for all the other companies, I would not say no. I said, well, honestly, I don't really know what could have happened. I try to avoid it because you don't need, people with a certain reputation, bad-mouthing people. And that's why I tell reps from different companies, and look, if you don't have anything good to say about us competitive cigars, don't say anything.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
Now,
well, let me ask you this.
No, I wanted to ask with the tobacco itself. Now I'm going to mention the Fuente family because they have their own farms, and when you get a lot of their cigars, they're from their farms, they're from their tobacco. Do you foresee that as something that Drew Estates would start to do?
No, I don't really know, but you got to remember something on Fuente. Fuente, the only farm that they have. I mean, they have a couple of farms, but remember, they get tobaccos from Ecuador and all the sources of tobacco. Even though Chateau de la Fuente is a dream farm. I know they get wrapper, binder, different things there, but it's basically for that. But they use Connecticut, they use broadleaf, they use Cameroon, they use different types of Sumatra, Ecuador too. I mean, they have farms and they buy tobacco, as the majority of people have. I don't think there's any company that is auto-sufficient, producing all the filler, all the binder, and all the wrapper that you need, because even General that has a huge amount of tobacco grown in Connecticut, and they grow a lot in Dominican, they buy tons of tobacco also.
Okay. Right. Well, Jose, Cigar G wants to know your thoughts on Costa Rican tobacco.
I've had I've had some cigars that have had Costa Rican wrappers on them. I've had some that have Costa Rican fillers. I found some that I like, some that are okay. But I would be lying to really give an opinion on it because I haven't smoked that much of it.
Okay.
So it would be very, very unfair on my part. I've smoked, to be honest, maybe 10, 15 cigars with something out of Costa Rica out of it. Even though I did smoke a cigar, I can't remember the name this year that somebody told me had a Costa Rican wrapper. I don't know if it was something called Byron or something like that. That was really good, had a Costa Rican wrapper on it. But I don't want to give an opinion on Costa Rican tobacco.
Okay,
And
that's
Cigar
fine.
G
That's
also
fine.
wanted to, he said, just to let you know, he knows you're no longer with La Aurora, he said, but those cigars at La Aurora would turn him on to cigars in the first place. So he wanted to thank you.
Okay, Cigar G is we at least tweet or direct message every 2 or 3 days. The man is passionate. He loves cigars. He has a very good wide palate, not only on cigars but also on drinks. He's always curious about pairings and things like that. And I look forward to meet him. The guy, he seems like the real deal. He seems like you guys.
Good. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, Jose, I got a question more for myself, curiosity. What your thoughts are on a single fermentation, or some people who do a double fermentation? Is there any pros or cons, or how much different does it really make in the tobacco?
Let me. Oh, Wolfer Reserve. That's good.
You just made me think of it sitting there when you said about the pairings. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wolfer Reserve. I always have a bottle here. My father-in-law is a big fan of it, and I'll have a drink about that. Look, it depends. I don't want to get into too much about this because there's people that use fermentation, that they do this, they do this. Look, tobacco, you ferment it one time and that's it. Some people say they fermentate over and over again. The more you fermentate tobacco, you ferment tobacco. What you're taking out is the essential oils and the flavors out of it. You do one fermentation process the way it should be. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, and you do it correctly one time. There's people that use that as a selling point or something like that, but that's their thing.
Yep.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's okay. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. No names mentioned. I was just curious because, I try to find out as much as I can. And, smoking for 24 years, I'm still learning something new every day. So I was just curious to get your opinion on it.
When did you start? At 6?
No, I'm 40. I'm 46.
You don't look 46, man.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you look.
Mike gave me $10. Mike gave me $10 to say that.
I say he looks like 58, 60. Yeah, somewhere in there.
And his wife probably yelled at him for giving the $10 up.
And for everybody, I have the feral flying pig here, and I was thinking about smoking it on the show, but I just haven't grown my balls that big yet. I just don't know. Because I imagine I might fall off my chair.
I sent him CYP, but he smoked it already.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that I always mention to people is that when you're making a cigar, you have to look at tobaccos. It's like when I arrived at Joya de Nicaragua, and I've been to many factories all over the world, and Cuba a lot, in all the years I lived in Dominican. When you look at the tobaccos at Joya de Nicaragua, and you put those leaves, especially a filler, to your nose, and you pick up the earthiness and the sweetness like raisins and prunes on them, it's amazing. It's like you think you are in heaven. But what people don't realize is for you to have that amount of tobacco sitting there for 3 or 4 years, it costs the money. Now, at the end of the day, does it pay off? Of course. I'll give you an example. Antonio, we sell like 1.2 million cigars a year. It has been since 2001 very, very consistent. People who smoke those Antonio have been smoking for years because they like that full flavor, full body, spicy, typical Nicaraguan flavors to it. But why has Joya de Nicaragua been able to accomplish the other that has been because of the inventory of tobacco. And that's one thing that I want a lot of people to understand. You need to have tobacco.
Yeah, that is definitely true. If you don't have the tobacco on hand to keep making the product. And that actually brings up a cigar lifter asked the question that the Antonio Dark Corojo is a favorite of his, and they want to make sure that, are you going to continue to manufacture that for quite some time yet?
Oh yeah. Dark Corojo. I mean, Antaño's a very strong, full flavor cigar, but we always say, if you want to go to the next level, Dark Corojo is the way to go. Sometimes I talk to people, and when people tell me this might sound crazy, that well, I don't think Dark Corojo is strong enough. Even some people say like a double Ligero from Lito, which is a fantastic cigar, is not strong enough. I said, like, you got to get on a crack or something else, brother, because I don't think a cigar can get out there, stronger than that and have the flavors and the complexity and the aroma and the balance and the finish that you want. I mean, I don't know what it is with some people, because personally, it's like I say, you want a mild cigar, but you want a mild cigar that with lots of flavor. And the same thing with a strong cigar, or a full body cigar. You want it to have flavor. You don't want to just you be, like mild, some flavors to it.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree with you on that. I like a strong cigar, but if it's got no flavors, it's not going to do anything for me.
I think we kind of lost Mike.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
He's just being quiet, Jose.
Okay. No, I know he's drinking and smoking the Furrow Pig, which is a phenomenal cigar.
Yeah, he said he's gonna about another 10 minutes after he gets that Woodford's in him. You won't even know he's part of the show anymore.
and no, I was too much of a wussy to smoke the Feral Pig. I couldn't do it this early in the day. That's gonna be something after a big steak dinner for me.
Come on,
I'm a wuss.
Get your fault out. Well, let's see, Jose. Let's take another question from, let's see, we'll go to B. Delaney. I'm trying to catch these all up. Any new and upcoming regions for tobacco or regions that have been around and making a comeback, in your opinion?
I mean, Ecuador right now, I think it's growing, to be honest, the best wrappers, and a lot of different companies are growing different types of wrapper there. There's some people that, left Cuba that have been living there that are coming up with some nice stuff. I saw some nice stuff from last year from a relatively new company, but it's a mix of Cubans, one Dominican and one guy from Nicaragua. Brazil is really, typically it used to be Arapiraca and Mata Fina, Mata Norte, Mata Sur. There's some Sumatra that's been growing there lately. Also some Corojo seed that's been in the last 2 or 3 years that's been growing there. Also, there's a couple of companies that are experimenting. And we will probably see at the beginning of this year some stuff they've been growing like for the last 2 years. Because you got to remember, these companies grow this tobacco, they put it away for a year, they see how it goes, then they see, if it burns right, if it ages well, if it tastes well, if it doesn't have bitterness, doesn't have taste, if it really harmonizes with different tobaccos. And then they go back and start growing it for 2 or 3 years, and then they come up to companies with it, and you have to try. But see, a lot of people just think, that the growing tobaccos, well, you throw a seed there, you get it out, you ferment it, you sell it out. But, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of investigation, and a lot of hard work. If anybody thinks that, making cigars, it's easy, they got something coming to it, to them. It's not. It's a long, long process.
It's an art form, no doubt.
It is.
It truly is. I'll tell you, I hear you coming back to Mata Fina. I really enjoy Mata Fina myself. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite wrappers, which you don't see a lot of it, well, you do see it with Fuente, but is a Mexican Maduro. I really love that wrapper too.
Yeah, but you see it a lot because like the Muad has Mexican Maduro, Mi Amor from
believe the Tempest was.
I don't know about the Tempest, but Miyamura has it. Murcielago has it. Pepin uses it. I don't know if Eddie Ortega uses it. There's a lot of Mexican rappers because you have Negro San Andres, you have Sumatra. I mean, the Turan family has been growing rappers for. These people have been in business for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I love that rapper, but I do love Matafina though. That's a really enjoyable.
Matafina, characteristic of Matafina, it blends very well. It's very aromatic. And it's very sweet.
Yes.
Has a sweetness that's very enjoyable, like maybe nutmeg, some caramelized, something like that.
Now,
Nice.
yeah.
And the questions
I
are
know that's
pouring in. I don't know if I keep up with them fast.
Matt
so
has a question for you here. Said when you're buying tobacco,
You're frozen,
that?
Mike. You're frozen. Jose, you're back good. You're 100% live.
yeah,
and
I can see
you
everybody.
perfectly. Mikey,
Everybody's
you're
moving.
frozen.
Everybody's doing good.
You're frozen.
Yeah,
Can you
well-
hear me? Okay. All right.
I can hear
yeah,
you,
because
so don't
Skype
worry
has a
about
different
it. Yeah.
camera than the live feed, so I'm good up there, so we're good.
Okay,
Matt
that's
has a
what
question
matters.
for you, Jose. He said, when buying tobacco, are you sampling most the final product, or is it more a small sample and hoping the farm is able to match that quality?
No, you have to understand, okay, when you're buying tobacco, you go to this warehouse where they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bale. You know, it's people that you've been working with for years, you know, Plasencia, the Perez, the Oliva, these are honorable people. So you look at it and, you know, what you do is you take a bale of, let's say, a filler, and you roll up a little leaf, single, and you start to smoke it. You know, you can tell, you know, it still has to be aged 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. If it needs a little bit more of a process towards it, you go over different bales of tobacco. You always take a leaf from the bottom, a leaf from the middle, and a leaf from the top. From the bottom, it has a lot to do with it because of the position, if it was on dirt, if it was too much humidity. And that's why a lot of people, and I say these things, you know, for anybody who's really getting into it, you know, it's not like people think, you know, you go into a factory, you take a bale of tobacco. A lot of things have to be inspected in a bale of tobacco, not only in the purchasing, but after you've had that tobacco for 2 or 3 years, there's a lot of things you have to inspect before you put that into production. One thing is that people think that the same temperature where you are, you know, warehousing a tobacco is the same temperature that you're using on the floor for tobacco. Like in the warehouse, it's going to be around 60 to 65. But the tobacco, the humidity is going to be 11 to 13% when you're working on the floor. So it's a lot of different details that you have to look into it. And if you look, especially if you visited like Joya de Nicaragua and you see the quality control process on that, you go like, this is like totally insane. Well, it's not insane. It's just the quality of control to, you know, being a company that's been out there for 45 years. It's like I tell people, you know, when you had a company for that amount of years, you got to be doing something right.
Exactly.
Yep, agree. Well, let's see. Cigar G's got another one for you, Jose. We're going to get into the Cuban embargo a little bit. He says, what are your thoughts on the U.S. possibility of lifting the Cuban embargo, and will it help or hinder the non-Cuban cigar manufacturers?
Well, there's people who say that this, because the president got reelected, doesn't have anything to lose. He even won in Florida. So I think the embargo will be lifted. It's going to bring a lot of excitement into the industry. You have to understand that the embargo lifted. One thing is the embargo lifted still Castro and the Castro brothers in power. That will only change it. You're going to be able to get Cuban cigars in the States legally.
Mm-hmm.
But one day when you have a democracy back there again, where you're going to be able to get tobacco, where you're going to be able to be blend, there's going to be a lot of excitement. I mean, I've made up some blends that are with Dominican filler, Nicaraguan, and Cuban tobacco that, I mean, they are phenomenal. I think that will help. The only thing that really worries me is, to be honest, is the fakes. Because people are going to be so desperate to smoke cigars. There's going to be millions and millions of cigars that are going to be fake. People are going to buy them from people that has a cousin of a cousin of a cousin that knows a cousin. They're going to get screwed. Some store owners will even be stupid enough to bring that stuff in. That will hurt them. If everybody plays by the rules, it will be good for the industry. There's going to be excitement for about a year to 18 months. But if people get greedy and start making up fakes and coming up with a lot of BS, we're going to see the same thing that happened in the boom back in the 90s. We're going to kill it again. So, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good for the industry. Mm-hmm. But if people do not pay from the rules, it'll be bad. And we know there's right now a whole bunch of people that say, oh, I smoke Cubans. I get a box of Monty 2 for $2.50, and I tell them, no, you just got screwed for $2.50. They cost $3.75 in Cuba.
Now, exactly. And you brought up a good point, Jose. The thing I see most important, I've said it over and over again, the most important thing I see about the Cuban embargo lifting is the fact that you know, as a manufacturer, as a blender, as a producer, can actually get a hold of Cuban tobacco and incorporate it into some of the blends, some of the tobaccos from other regions. Whereas, I mean, there's a big thing, you know, with the Cubans, with quality control and everything like that, you know, with the Cuban cigars that's been going on for quite a number of years now. And I think it would help the industry as you incorporate the Cuban tobacco into your own cigar line, rather than just having, you know, people are going to say, oh, I just want a Cuban cigar. It's like, well, why not a cigar that has Cuban tobacco?
No. I agree with you. And like I said, you know, I've been experimenting for years going down there, and I was very good friends with Alejandro Robine. Every time I went there, he always was very gracious to give me 300 or 400 leaves of wrapper. And throughout some friends, I got different. I have cigars here that are made that are, you know, have the 3 types of cigars in it. I even remember I gave James Suckling one time, even wrote a blog about it. And a lot of people that really have a really good palate that I know they can appreciate. I don't tell them what it is, but right off the bat, they say this has some Cuban into it. But again, anybody who says they're going to be able to get Cuban wrapper is lying, because they don't have enough wrapper. You might be able to get some binder, of course, some filler, of course, and it will be interesting. But again, I have to state that, you know, if people get greedy and they start, you know, making all these fakes and everything, it will hurt us back. And instead of us going ahead, the industry will just go back again.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Bill Delaney, he's got a question to piggyback Cigar G's question to you about the. He says, do you feel that the Cuban tobacco quality has decreased? He said he's heard some people say that the tobacco isn't as good anymore due to the soil conditions over there.
Well, you have to understand that in Cuba, they start planting tobacco October, November, December, January, February, they're picking it. Not all of it, but a lot of tobacco, they're using it with 6-7 months. They don't give it the time, the aging it needs. They hurry everything up. You got to remember, Cuba only has 3 sources of income. It's sugar, tourism, and tobacco. I mean, to be honest, I have a lot of friends there, very good connections. I get sent a lot of stuff. I think, especially on the limited edition, at least the draws have gotten better. Once in a while, we're gonna have a tight. Well, not once in a while. You'll always have some tight ones on regular production. And the soil, of course, they don't have the fertilizers. They don't have the rotation like we do in farms here. But still, you pick one up when it's good, and it's very enjoyable. It doesn't matter what anybody says. I mean, when a Cuban cigars are good, it's good. But the problem is you buy a box of 25 cigars and all of a sudden 6 or 7 do not draw already. The cost of the box is up 35 to 40%. So if you buy a good cigar from, especially from Nicaragua and Dominican Republic, I mean, why take the risk?
Now, I can ask you to look in your crystal ball again here, Jose, along with the Cuban question. The question that I am really, really curious about, and I honestly have no idea if it will happen or not, if the Cuban embargo is lifted, and of course the Castro regime would have to be gotten rid of before this would even attempt to happen. But do you foresee any of the original families going back to Cuba?
You know, that's the way when I grew up, it used to be, that's the $64 question. Now, I guess we would have to say that's the $1 million question. With everybody you talk, I think the lawyers are going to have a field day. Because under the Cuban Constitution, there's 2 things to say from the Constitution. 47 Cuban brands cannot be sold, Cuban brands cannot be made outside. I think it's going to be a big legal thing in the courts. And even though I think if the families would go back and just say we won't export, all the cigars will be sold. It's only, they only make about 110, 150 million cigars. I mean, it's not that people think Cubans make a lot of cigars, but Dominican Republic and Nicaragua make more cigars than the Cubans do. It's not that big as it used to be. And to be honest, you know, especially cigars from Dominican and Republic and Nicaragua, very reliable. I mean, it's a head-to-head fight between, you know, the three countries right now on production.
Right. Well, let's see. Cigar Lifter's got a question for you. What is your favorite, if you have a favorite cigar made by someone else? Yeah.
That would get me into a lot of trouble. I mean, I'm gonna take the fifth on that one because I have so many friends that I really enjoy their product, and anybody I would leave out would say, like I did that on a show one time. He said, "God, but you've always been a fan of my cigars. What is it? You even on interviews that have been printed have said." I said, "Well, you know." It just slips. So I do smoke a lot of stuff from a lot of people. I have a lot of respect for a lot of people, and I enjoy a lot of cigars from a lot of friends.
I was just going to say, I'll rephrase it. What are some of the other brands that you're enjoying today? How's that?
All of them, right?
There you go. There's the answer.
Yeah, all of them. I smoke. I have. Look, everybody knows I like a lot of stuff from Nicaragua. I have some stuff that I really like from Dominican Republic. Maybe one or two things from Honduras. I'm not a big fan. Everybody knows it of Honduras. But there's some companies in Honduras I really like, and you know I'll smoke at least 5 or 6 Cubans out of my 35 cigars of the week. There'll be at least 5 of those, depending what the mood is. I have a ton of that stuff there. But it's I tell people, look, I was one time in London, somebody asked me at an event, at dinner, there was 5, 6 people left. If you were left on an island, what cigar would you smoke? And they left me for last. And then after everybody gave an answer, I was like quiet for 2 minutes, and the guy who had the event said, "Well, Mr. Blanco, want to hear your opinion." And I said, "I can't give an opinion." He says, and they asked me why. I said, "Because I'd be dead." "What do you mean I'd be dead?" I said, "I can't smoke the same cigar, day after day. I would go crazy smoking the same 5 cigars a day. I'd go berserk."
Now, how about...
I smoke 5 a day, and it's 5 different cigars.
Now, do you have... I know you said about incorporating Cuban tobacco in some of the cigars that you roll. Do you have a cigar that you roll for your own personal use only, other than the Cubans?
To be honest, right now I'm working on something that probably in April or May we're going to start talking more about it. I'll be handing out. It's something that I really enjoy with. I don't think it's going to be a lot, to be honest. It was only like maybe 7, 8 bales of something that I found there was just laying there. It's a very old Nicaraguan tobacco that is phenomenal. You can't really do anything on production on it. I'm looking into it, but I think in time I will have something out there. I mean, the majority of you take like Don Carlitos' father. He has that Don Carlos Robusto, but there's a Don Carlos Robusto that is commercial. Then there's a Don Carlos Robusto that's made for him. Sometimes when I bump into him, give me one. And I mean, the cigar is phenomenal. I think when you have something like that, it's something that has to be very unique. I don't know about the commercial side of it, maybe special things, special occasions, but it's something where you really have to be very, very, very proud of it.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, how many? Well, Matt, he already said 5.
Matt, yeah, he already said 5. Well, Matt's got a comment on our blog. Whizman, who couldn't be here today, he put a comment on there, and he said, Jose, what do you enjoy with the smokes, a.k.a. beverage-wise, and also how many cigars does the master of blend smoke a day?
Well, to answer the last question, everybody knows it's 5, and sometimes if I'm doing an event at night, it'll be 6. I've had this question all over the world about pairings. Look, I have a lot of respect for all these people that have written all these books about pairings and all that, but, you know, at the end of the day, it says if you go and have a steak, you have to have red wine, and then you have to have this, drink, and that. So what happens if I want to go have a steak, drink a Coca-Cola, after that have a Krispy Kreme donut, and after that have a Coke or something? Am I wrong? No, everything is subjective. Like, personally, everybody knows I'm a huge coffee drinker. And I've said this a million times. The only way you're going to get me to drink a Diet Coke, if I'm out in the desert and I'm going to die, I'll have a Diet Coke. But how many people do I know, and I respect that that's the only thing they drink when they're smoking? So does that mean that they're wrong and I'm right? Absolutely not. You pair up with what you like. A good rum, a good port, beer, a rum, whiskey, wine, coffee. Even I've heard people, you know, with decaf and different things. Does it mean it's wrong? No. What you have to find is something, whether it's the morning, after lunch, or in the night, you drink when you light up a cigar and you think you are in heaven. I always say that coffee brings out the better flavors of cigar. But who says that a good rum like Flor de Caña or Brugal or a good vodka or a Johnny Walker Green or Blue or a good cognac, a Hennessy, Courvoisier, Remy Martin? I mean, it's what you like, a good port.
Right. Now, the only thing I'll say with that is I've heard it over and over again. Yes,
Wolf
there you go.
Reserve.
But, you know, you can't pick up a $1 bottle of wine and expect it to taste like a $60 or $70 bottle of wine or a $100 wine, things like that, you know?
No, that is true.
You know, so it's like if you're having a good quality cigar, you definitely want a good quality drink to go with it. Like my Woodford Reserve.
There you go. Well, Jose, let's talk a little bit. Get your opinion on it. We talked a little bit on Twitter. You meant, I think we lost you. Are you there, Jose?
I see him. Oh, we lost him.
Nope.
We lost Jose for a minute
Jose.
here.
All right, just hang on a second, folks.
Yeah.
It
now,
should kick back
Jose
on.
is
Skype
in Nicaragua again, so.
Yes, he is. He's not in the States, so Skype should pick him back up. We should get him back in a minute. Nope, we lost him. So just give us a second. We will get Jose back. Mike, why don't you go to a screenshot
No, I went to
of
both
yourself?
of us here. That way, when the guest isn't on,
Okay,
you can call him.
And I'm going to call him back.
Yeah, it's been a great show with Jose so far. I mean, if we
yeah, he's still down.
If we can't get him back, I mean, we appreciate him coming on the show. I mean, we're almost at the hour mark anyway here.
Yeah, we were. We had a few more questions. Cigar G, I think you know the answer. I think Cameroon probably would be his his favorite rapper. I don't know if I can confirm it, but if we can get him back on, we'll try to confirm it. Again, like Mikey said, he's in Nicaragua, so with this Skype thing, this is the first time this happened. But if we can't get him back, we want to thank Jose for coming on. It's always informative, and I think he's messaging me now, so he might be coming back on. We lost it. Yes, we did.
Yeah, Jose's very, very knowledgeable. It's amazing and very willing to share his knowledge. That's that's one of the things where the cigar industry seems that way. There's a lot of other industries you go to where everything is quiet and you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say about this or that or the other thing, and it leaves consumers really in the dark on what's going on, and that is one of the greatest things about the cigar industry, I believe.
And we got him coming back now, folks.
Right.
Here he comes. So hang tight for a minute. Looks like he's coming back up.
Coming back from the dead.
It's, hey, you're in Nicaragua and we're here in the States, so it happens. We can't complain, right? But we're almost at the end anyway, Jose. But I was trying to get into, before we got cut off here, a little bit about CRA. I know when you and I were tweeting all this week about the show, we talked to people following us on Facebook and Twitter that we wanted to get into that a little bit. So tell everybody your opinion about CRA and go from there.
I mean, I've always said the CRA is the last line of defense, and if you're a passionate cigar lover and you believe in rights, you should join the CRA. Be proactive. Let your voice be heard. It's $35. They sent you 2 great cigars, and to be honest, it's not even about the two cigars. It's about you being part of something and supporting something that you're very passionate about and that you like. I mean, it's a great organization. Glenn and Brian and all the ambassadors are doing a great job. We have a lot of issues we have to face next year. We have FDA. We have a revision of the S-chip. A lot of states looking in for more taxes, more smoking bans. So, we have to let our voices be heard. Join CRA, be an active member, support your brick and mortar stores, and, be part of in my opinion, the greatest industry in the world.
There you go. We agree with you. We support CRA here at Stogie 411 as well. And Jose's 100% correct. Well, Jose,
you had a question you started a question when before we went out of line.
Yeah, that was just a CRA question. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. And but Jose, we're getting near the end, but I want to end it on a kind of funny note. As you know, on my other site, I reviewed the CYB, and I first off want to apologize for butchering the first part of the name because my pronunciation is one of the worst. So one of the viewers asked if you would kindly tell me how to pronounce the name correctly. So would you?
No, now it used to be before Cuenca y Blanco.
Okay.
And now to make it very easy, it's CYB.
Okay, so now I can say Cuenca. So I was pronouncing it Cuenca with the C, so I wasn't pronouncing it right. So now I know it's Cuenca. So Jeff, I got it right this time, and I want to thank Jose for correcting me on that. But I will say this, as I said in my review, I personally think this is one of the best cigars made this year, in my opinion. So.
Yes, it's been exciting. I mean, we just still keep filling back orders. I mean, it's been we got delayed a bit with the change of name, and there was a little bit of confusion. But I think now with Facebook and Twitter and social media and all the events, people are very clear that the name has changed, but it's the same blend, the same excitement, the medium to full body smoke with lots of flavor, complexity, balance, and a great aroma of a very unique cigar.
And to show an even better note, tell everybody about your little one.
Oh, Jasper. Well, Jasper's very well. He's 5 weeks old now. Him and I are very excited. He's brought so much joy to our lives. People say he looks like me, but he has a lot of his mom's eyes and things like that. And so, one day she starts to say she's looking more like him and like her. And I say, no, it's looking more like me. But you know how it is.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
That's good. And congratulations on that as well.
Definitely congratulations. Now, oh, go ahead.
Well, Jose.
No, I was going to just ask, are there any events coming up here in the States that you're going to be attending anytime soon that you want to let everybody know about, that you know of?
Well, I'll be in New England in first week of February. Then I go to Houston, and then we'll post it out. But more than anything, I know this is probably going to be my last show of the year. First of all, I would like to really thank you guys. I would like to thank everybody, all the consumers, all the store owners, all the fellow people who are on social media, for making this, to me, I'll say it again, the greatest industry in the world. This is not about the color of your skin or what your religious beliefs are, if you smoke a $10 cigar or a $2 bundle. This is about enjoyment, having a good time, having respect. And I really want to wish the two mics, a great holiday, happy Christmas, happy New Year. Looking forward to next year being on the program again. And no doubt those hundreds and thousands of people that, are hearing the show and will see it, later on when they have time, to keep in mind, this is a small industry. This is a very personal, subjective industry where, we're very passionate about it. Sometimes we're outspoken, sometimes we're a little bit quiet. But let your voice be heard, be part of the excitement. Support brick and mortar, support CRA, support the industry. Be respectful to everybody. If you don't have anything good to say about a cigar, don't say anything at all. Just, enjoy what you enjoy. And if you don't like it, just say it's not your cup of tea.
I agree with you 100%. Well, Jose, we want to thank you so much for taking the time out again and joining us. It really, you're one of the people that we really look forward to having on all the time. You're very informative. You help people like ourselves who are, learning every day something new. And we wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as well.
Thanks, Mike. And I know you guys are not only learning, but you guys, because you can learn all you want, but if you don't have the passion and you don't go out there and, you don't hustle up the news and go to events and try to pick people's brain, it ain't just going to happen.
You're right.
That's true.
You're right.
So, yeah, definitely a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and your family, Jose. And it's going to be a great one. The first year with the little one, it's going to be a blast. I remember those years.
Oh, yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, it totally will be. All right, well, Jose, well, thank you so much, sir, so much. And we will be talking to you again. And thanks for everything.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Mike and Mike, try to behave.
We will.
And enjoy that Wolf
Thank you.
Reserve,
I will.
Mike.
See you later.
All right.
Have a great weekend and a great holiday.
You too, sir. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
All righty. Yeah, back here with Mike and I again. Good show, Mike. Good show.
Always. It's always great. And thanks for the fans for asking us to get them back on. We were very thankful that Jose did come back on the show. It's not always easy getting these manufacturers on. We try our best to keep it new and fresh. Our next show will be December 29th. Join us because it's going to be the You Asked For It show again. We're going to have you guys calling in live again. We're going to try our best to answer your questions. And actually, prior to this show, in the pre-show, we were talking to Jose about a few things, and we're going to try to get your opinion on some of the questions that Jose put to us to see what your thoughts are on it. So make sure you join us August 29th. That will be our last show of the year. We'll be live back again at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. And remember, you'll be able to call in. If you want to call in, remember you have to send a request to me at Hogman211. That's 211, not the same as my Twitter, and on Skype, and I'll be happy to accept it, and we'll be able to call you and call back in. And real quick, before we end the show, I really want to send my condolences to everybody in Connecticut who lost someone in that horrific I'm trying to be polite with the words, but that horrific shooting there that was done by someone who obviously had several problems in his life. But my condolences and our condolences to the families who are suffering right now. It's such a sad and tragic moment over there, but
yeah,
that's all I got.
It's horrible what happened up there, and it's if you were a parent up there, I can't even begin to think or feel what you would be going through right now. So anyway, that's our show for today, I guess. And we'll be back, what is it, December 29th. And we'll have a question
Thanks
for
again,
you,
everybody.
And you can have questions for us.
Yes, we will have questions for you. So then, thanks again. Without you guys, the show doesn't matter. So again, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you on the 29th.